People who sleep naked. When has it backfired? Hey friend, please take 2 seconds to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy these videos. I post new videos every single day. Not me, but I was spending the night at my friend's house in a suburban neighborhood. In the middle of the night, his mom had let their toy fox terrier out to go pee, and it got snatched by a coyote. She screamed and woke us all up. A wolf got noodle. Within 10 seconds, his dad was sprinting out of the house, completely butt-ass naked, with a Glock in his hand, and went running down the street. Came back about 15 minutes later, with the dog, and obviously still completely naked. Edit. It's come to my attention that this isn't exactly a backfire, but I think anything that causes you to run around your neighborhood naked should qualify. There was one morning in high school when my dad decided to wake me up for school by ripping the covers off me in bed. That was the last time that happened. We all know, rude awakenings are the cause behind nude sleeping. I had a closet-sized single dorm room, and people would always pull the fire alarm in the middle of the night, and we'd all have to go outside. One time I was so drowsy, I just walked out instinctively, and halfway down the hall, I raced back. Thankfully this was an old building, so I didn't get locked out of the room. My buddy's apartment burned down a few years ago. It was already engulfed by the time he woke up. His arms, upper back, and ears got pretty effed up, running out of it in his t-shirt. Still pretty purple to this day. He took a few seconds to put on his work pants and boots. Probably saved his life. Definitely saved his junk. I used to sleep naked. Now I own a cat. Those two overlapped for only a week. Yeah, morning wood and cats don't mix. One time they attack it, and you'll sleep with shorts on after that. Penis equals scratching post for cats. This has happened to me before, but both cats decided that that would be a good wake-up call. I am in pain reading this. I locked myself out of my flat whilst sleepwalking one night. My girlfriend was on holidays, so I had to wait until morning, borrow a towel off a neighbor, and then walk about a mile up the road to the estate agent to get a spare key. I would have lent more than a towel. Jeez. I would give them my nicest, please never return these to me, outfit. I've got some old shorts and a Reagan Bush 1984 shirt I keep around, just for this sort of occasion. I normally don't do this, but one summer night I had a meal from my local Mexican place that I love. Since I was busy that day, I didn't have lunch, and decided to get significantly more than what I normally order, to cure the hangry. I also did not get an opportunity to poop that day, since it was unusually hot that night. I decided to ditch everything and sleep bare, after one very realistic dream of me on the toilet. Let's just say that I had to get a new set of bedsheets the next morning. Shit happens. Shut art. When I was about 13 or 14, I used to sleep naked, until I started to sleepwalk a lot. Never slept naked ever again. Edit. Sorry for what you had to see, mom. I started somewhere in high school, because of night sweats. In college, I moved into an on-campus apartment, alone, and the very next morning I woke up to 3 grown mid-50s dudes with their faces in my window. My bed was directly below the window. University housing gave some BS excuse about my window needing maintenance. Just my window specifically, none of the others in the entire complex. The window wasn't even designed to open. I think they were being pigs, but I was 1,000 miles away from anyone who cared about me, and just let it go. Technically that is illegal, as universities are still bound by landlord-tenant laws. They are required to give you 24-hour notice before any form of non-emergency maintenance. When in uni, my room was right in front of the university, so when looking out my windows, you would look straight into classrooms. So one day the inevitable happened. I had forgotten to close the curtains at night. You couldn't see me while I was in bed, due to the head of the bed obstructing the window. However, getting out of the bed would expose my entire naked body to the world. So any bored student whose sight was wandering off outside the classroom window could get a nice viewing of my naked body. The way I fixed it was by simply rolling up in my bedsheets and sort of hop to my curtains in my bedsheet roll. I am male by the way, so I didn't have to cover up breasts. I am male by the way, so I didn't have to cover up breasts. Just let those moobs swing free, take my upvote and leave. A few years ago, I was working a night shift and had just returned home at 7 AM. I was so tired that I didn't close the front door properly. After I activated the house alarm, I went to my room and undressed myself and went to bed. I wake up to the alarm blaring, and I look around my room as I hear yelling. I see there are 2 female cops in the house with their guns out, and one of them was pointing it at me. I'm half asleep, and not really understanding what was going on. The officer asked if I lived here, to which I said yes. Then she ordered me to show her my ID. My ID, which was in my wallet, was on my dresser. I pointed her to where my wallet was. She ordered me to show it to her, and I said I couldn't get up, because I was naked under my blanket. So, while still pointing her gun at me, she opened up my wallet. After that, the cops left, and, after securing the front door properly, I went back to sleep. My favorite part is that 2 trained professionals found it conceivable, and even probable, that someone broke in to take a morning nap, like frickin' Goldilocks. That's one heck of a house alarm. Basic training. Getting called out of bed because someone fell asleep on guard duty. My private was standing at attention, at ease. I was at a house fire once during the night, and the homeowner slept naked. When we arrived, he was running around his front yard naked, with a garden hose. Thankfully he was not injured, and we were able to salvage most of his belongings, and the one thing he said is that he learned to now sleep with shorts on. I've always slept naked, but the heater in my room was broken and it was getting too cold, even with layers of blanket. I woke up that morning, and knew I had the house to myself at least till late afternoon, so I continued snoozing in my sister's room with the heater on. Next thing I knew, I heard voices coming up the stairs. It was my sister and her friends. I guess they decided to ditch school, and thought I wasn't home. I had no other choice but to roll over and hide under the bed. They were hanging out in that room for a good 2 hours, and I was under the bed completely naked the whole time. That was almost 15 years ago, and she still has no idea. Spider in my butthole. Sounds like a great name for a garage band. I think of my poor husband on vacation in Europe. The one time I convinced that man to sleep naked so he can be more comfortable. LOL. We wake up to what we thought was the middle of the night, to blaring fire alarms in a hotel in London. He rarely sleeps naked, so he bolted out of bed assuming he was in boxers, grabbed his slippers and ran out the door. Meanwhile, I was getting dressed right behind him, trying to get his attention to get dressed. He kept thinking I was worried, and was yelling over me. I managed to get clothes on, while he remained naked. We ran down 4 flights of stairs, made it to the front desk to ask what the commotion was about, only to find out it was 4 PM, and this was a routine test of the fire alarms throughout the hotel. The hotel clerk then looked at my husband and said, "Despite being in Europe, we have a strict no nudity in the hotel lobby policy." I died laughing. My husband finally realized he wasn't dressed, looked at me and my pajamas, and started to grab Kleenexes to cover up. The whole way up to the hotel room in the elevator, he was upset I didn't tell him. I couldn't stop laughing, so I began to cry. We looked like a hot mess getting out of that elevator. Best vacation story ever.